Hello everyone, today I have the daunting task of hauling all of the books that I've bought since October. Yep, I haven't done a book haul since September of 2016 and now it's time. It's time. Before I get started as well, I thought I'd just let you know that I've recently posted up 2 unboxing videos for different subscription boxes. So if you want to know which books I got in the Fairy Loot box, as well as the Illuma crate and LitJoy crate, then I will leave links down below to those videos so you can check out what goodies I got inside them. All right, let's tackle it. I have a subscription box I haven't unboxed yet. Now I need to find things to put in these boxes. This is gonna look really empty. Oh my gosh. 32, 33, 34, 35, 39, 40, 41, 42. Let's begin with a quick unboxing of the YA Chronicles subscription box. This was the December box. The theme of this one was Simply Wonderful. Ooh, is this some like washi tape? Oh, that's really pretty. I do have some tape from a previous YA Chronicles subscription and it's like books, endless books, which is pretty. But this one is really, really nice. Can you see that? It's got snowflakes on it. Ooh, these are gonna be so handy when I'm reading. Okay, so we have here some sticky bookmarks and on them it has this quote, the feels, fangirl moment, and OMG. No way! This next thing here is a snitch bracelet. Oh, that is stunning. And this last thing here is a magnet, which is, oh, okay. I fell into a book and it's kind of got some like Alice in Wonderland-esque things going on here. You can see Alice falling. This is a note here from the creators of the YA Chronicles box. I think this letter just pretty much is explaining why December box was chosen because I think it's a pretty special book. Now, time to show you what the book is. We have another hardcover book, which is always really, really exciting. For an Australian subscription box as well, it's really special because in Australia, hardcovers are really hard to come by. It's not the main format of books that are printed here. And even when we do have them, they're so expensive. So this is a book that's actually told in poems. According to the letter here, all of the women that are written about in the book lived in a time when education wasn't openly available to them. This follows 3 different women. We have Maria Marion, Mary Anning, and Maria Mitchell. It follows them as they live in different places during different times, and I think they're just really intelligent and curious women who found wonder in the world around them. So that sounds really lovely. This is also such a stunning book. I thought I would also let you guys know something really exciting. A little while ago I had a coupon code for the YA Chronicles, but now the coupon code is back and working. So if you are interested in the YA Chronicles, it is an Australian run subscription box. The coupon code is Little Book Owl 10, so you get 10% off your box. Speaking of the YA Chronicles, I do have 3 or 4 other boxes from them that I hadn't had the chance to actually film an unboxing for. I did film something last year, but it was an extremely long video. I haven't edited it and it scares me to think about it. So I'm going to quickly share which books I got in the past few boxes from the YA Chronicles as well. I can't remember which months these are from, by the way. I apologize. But the first one here is Gemina by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. So this was from the Gemina box that they had available that you could pre-order a few months in advance, and they had a bunch of Gemina goodies and it also came signed by the authors. I've actually already reread Gemina using this copy because when I read the ARC edition, it didn't have all of the Maria Lu illustrations. Quick side note as well, I did also order myself a hardcover edition of Gemina because I think the hardcovers are so stunning. I have both editions of Illuminae, so now I get double the matching sets. Now, Gemina is the sequel to Illuminae, and it's basically a sci-fi novel written in a really interesting way. The 2 characters that we follow in Illuminae are not the main characters in Gemina, but we do meet them again in Gemina. This one follows Hannah and Nick, who are on board Heimdall, one of the jump stations in space, and the Hypatia is en route to them. I highly recommend the series. Next, we have 3 Dark Crowns by Ken Dare Blake. In this world, every generation, there are 3 sisters born with different powers. One is an elemental, the other is a poisoner, and the other is a naturalist. And essentially Essentially, they compete to the death, I believe, for the crown to the kingdom. I also received a copy of Heartless by Marissa Meyer. So this is kind of a retelling prequel for Alice in Wonderland. We follow the Queen of Hearts in her youth. Her name is Catherine, and she's an incredibly talented baker, and she hopes to open up her own shop in the Kingdom of Hearts. The King of Hearts favors her, but she doesn't really reciprocate those feelings. Instead, she enters into a secret courtship with the jester of the court. And you can just tell this is going to end badly because she eventually becomes the off with their head woman. And the last YA Chronicles book that I have to show you is Holding Up the Universe by Jennifer Niven. Now this one follows two characters. We have Libby, who is a girl that is overweight, but no one's ever really looked past her weight to see who she really is. Ever since her mum's death, she's kind of been hiding, but finally she's ready to start high school. Then we also have Jack Maslin, who has the condition prosopagnosia. Not sure if that's how you say it. Even his family, he's not actually able to recognize people by their faces. He has to use other means, such as their hair, the way they dress, things like that. And he's trying to keep that a secret. So I think this is about these two meeting, developing some kind of friendship, maybe relationship of some sort. I have no idea. I will find out when I read it. Moving on to the rest of the books. Firstly, I have the illustrated edition of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets by J.K. Rowling, but I decided to get this book for my collection because why the heck not? I mean, an illustrated Harry Potter book. I also have this illustrated edition of Hansel and Gretel by Neil Gaiman and Lorenzo Mattotti. This one is the Hansel and Gretel story with really dark illustrations. I think I'm going to really enjoy this one. This is definitely a readathon book. It's teeny tiny and half the pages are illustrations, so I'll be able to whiz through this. I also picked up Blankets by Craig Thompson. This is a book that's been on my wish list for a really long time. I finally picked it up in November for the Tome Topple Readathon. One of the challenges was to read a graphic novel, and since for the Tome Topple you read a book over 500 pages, this was the perfect graphic novel for that because it's almost 600 pages. So I've actually already read this book, but it is a graphic novel memoir of Craig Thompson as he's growing up. It has a romance, it has him kind of struggling with his religion and things like that. I also picked up Saga Volume 6 by Fiona Staples and Brian K. Vaughan. It's a sci-fi graphic novel, and two of the main characters are kind of star-crossed lovers. They're from different species that are from two different sides of a war. They have a child and they're on the run and all this crazy stuff. Haven't actually read this one yet, but again, might save this for a readathon. I also picked up the screenplay for Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. I did, of course, watch the movie. I really enjoyed it, and I couldn't resist. This is just a stunning book, and even the layout on the inside, just like the little details and everything, the way they decorated the pages, it's so stunning. So I'm really looking forward to reading through the screenplay at some point. The Weight of Water by Sarah Crossan. This is a book that is actually written in verse as well, but from what I can tell, this follows the character Cassianca as her and her mother move to England. Things are kind of rough. Her mum's heart is breaking. She doesn't have many friends at school, and then someone swims into her life and things take a bit of a turn for the better, I think. The synopsis is quite vague. And I also picked up Apple and Rain, also by Sarah Crossan. This one is not written in verse though. This is about Apple, whose mother left her and returns 11 years later. And after her mum returns, she feels whole again, but at the same time, she has a lot of questions. Why did you leave on Christmas Eve? I also finally picked up volumes 13, 14, and 15 of Full Metal Alchemist by Hiromu Arakawa. This is a series that I'm absolutely enjoying, and I'm really excited to continue reading the mangas as well as watch the anime as well at some point. This series follows two brothers. One of them is the Full Metal Alchemist, and by that he has an arm and a leg that are made entirely out of metal, and in this world alchemists are able to like manipulate the elements. The series is so fast-paced and action-packed, and I'm really looking forward to picking it up again. I finally also got myself a copy of This Savage Song by V.E. Schwab, and in this universe, violence literally creates monsters. Honestly, I don't know any more than that, and I kind of want to go into this not really knowing much more, so I'm just going to leave the synopsis at that. I also picked up a copy of Empire of Storms by Sarah J. Maas. I have not read this yet, and honestly, this is super daunting. This is mahusive. Empire of Storms is the 5th book in the Throne of Glass series, and the series basically follows Selena Sardothien, who is an assassin, a very renowned assassin. I also picked up Far From You by Tess Sharp. I'm fairly sure that I picked this up when I was with my friends and one of them recommended it to me, so I think that's why I ended up getting this book. So I actually have no idea what it's about. From what I can tell, this is about Sophie, who is a recovering drug addict whose best friend Mina died from what everyone believes was a drug deal gone wrong, and a deal that they thought that Sophie herself set up. But in fact, Sophie knows the truth, that it was not a drug deal at all, but that she was murdered. This sounds really, really intense. Okay, so that's why I picked up this book when someone recommended it to me. Okay. I'm excited all over again. I've also got a copy of Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. I do own a copy of Gone Girl, but haven't yet read it, but I do definitely plan on it. But when one of my friends was giving away some books and this was on the pile, I was just really drawn to it, so I decided to pick it up. So Libby's brother was sentenced and put in jail for a crime that she provided evidence for. But later down the track, she's contacted by some people that are absolutely convinced of his innocence. So that forces her to start questioning things and realizing that there are a lot of secrets in her family. Sounds very interesting. I'm definitely interested in hearing, if those of you that have read Gone Girl and Dark Places, which is your favorite. I've also picked up a copy of Bitter Blue by Kristen Cashore. This is the third book in the Graceling series, a fantasy series that I actually did do a review for the first book, Graceling. I've also got Scrappy Little Nobody, the memoir by Anna Kendrick. This is a book that I picked up when I was at Walmart in America, and I started reading it but only got 8 pages through just because I was very much distracted. I was in a car jam-packed full of people and suitcases, so it was incredibly uncomfortable and it was hard to read when the discomfort was so high. So eventually I will end up finishing this book, but yes, this is about Anna Kendrick. Next we have a book I have been wanting to pick up for so long, and I've been holding off till America so I could pick up a copy of it in hardcover, and that is Wolf by Wolf by Ryan Groudon. So you may be aware that I'm really, really intrigued by World War II stories, and this one sounds incredible. Imagine an alternate history in which Hitler had won World War II. So that's the basis for this book. The really interesting thing about this one is we follow a character that, okay, I'm not sure how to pronounce the name. It's Yael, Yael, who is a former death camp prisoner. She decides to compete in this annual motorcycle race, and the prize for this race is an audience with Hitler himself, and she wants to use this opportunity to win and kill Hitler. So, oh, this sounds really, really good. I also picked up a copy of Stalking Jack the Ripper by Carrie Maniscalco. This was the group book for the Winter Biannual Bibliothon, and I did actually start reading the book, but I didn't end up finishing it. I didn't complete a single book during the readathon. It was a tricky time. I was traveling, it was not very fun, and I was too exhausted to read, basically. I didn't actually end up finishing this one, but what this one is about, it follows Audrey, who, after her mother's death, she becomes really fascinated with death, so she starts apprenticing for her uncle, who is a coroner, and she kind of gets drawn into the investigation of Jack the Ripper and finds herself stalking him. I visited a used bookstore when I was over in the States as well, in this really small town, and I picked up a few books. The first few books that I have here are books 1 and 2 of the Last Herald Mage series by Mercedes Lackey. The first one is The Magic's Pawn, and the second, The Magic's Promise. I don't really know anything else. I was just kind of intrigued by the covers of these. These are also super yellow pages, and it's fantasy, so why not? Have any of you heard of these books? Or even better, have any of you read them? I'd be very curious to know. I also picked up a copy of Shana by Kathleen E. Woodwiss, and the main reason why I picked this one up is because one of my friends, this is one of her favorite books of all time, and she's recommended it to me a few times. So when I saw it, I decided to pick it up. But this is a romance novel, and that's about all I really know. During the last couple of months as well, when I was in bookshops, I've been keeping an eye out for some diverse books that have been recommended, mainly because I am participating in the Diversity Bingo 2017 Reading Challenge. So I wanted to pick up some books that people have recommended or said that they enjoyed, so that I have some more books to choose from. I've got a few diverse books coming up as well. One of them is Americana by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, and this one follows 2 teenagers in Nigeria, Ifemelu and Obins. I probably pronounced those names wrong, so if you do know the correct pronunciation, please let me know. Their country is under a military dictatorship, and so I think this story follows the 2 of them who have fallen in love as their paths separate and they go on different life journeys, but then come together at a later point in their life. I also picked up Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdoms by Leigh Bardugo. I saw the box set of this one and decided I might as well pick it up because I definitely plan on reading this soon. Should I read Shadow and Bone before reading this duology? Even if I don't need to read Shadow and Bone, I would like to know if like this is so much more superior that I should read that one and then this one, so I'll be disappointed when I read this and then the other one, if you know what I mean. I also picked up 7 Ways We Lie by Riley Redgate, and this one follows 7 different characters who I think kind of embody in a way the 7 deadly sins. Just going by the cover, it's about these 7 different characters all in high school together when one of them, Valentine, plants the seed for a scandal. When rumors surface of a student-teacher affair, everyone's kind of looking for someone to blame. So I think these 7 characters find themselves to be allies. This one does also include a pretty diverse array of characters as well. There is a pansexual. I think there's another possible asexual. I'm not too sure, but I think I remember hearing about there being a side character that is disabled. This was recommended to me by one of my friends, so I'm really looking forward to picking it up. And we also have The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Adier, and this one I have been holding off buying because again I also wanted the beautiful American hardcover, so when I was in America I could pick it up. The king in this story takes a new bride each night, and come morning she is dead. That is until he takes Shahrazad as his bride. She survives the night and continues to stay each night with the king, and eventually learns that he's not quite the monster that she believed him to be. This next one is a book that I've already read, but I needed to get myself a copy because I can so picture myself rereading it, and this is George by Alex Gino. So I read this one during the banned bookathon last year, where I was trying to focus on diverse books that have been banned in schools and libraries. This one is an Own Voices novel about George, who is a girl but everyone sees her as a boy. So it's kind of about her story as she auditions to be Charlotte in the play Charlotte's Web, but because everyone sees her as a boy, she doesn't get the part. So it's kind of about that struggle and coming to terms with who she is, and it's beautiful. I really recommend it. It's a middle grade novel, but it's so sweet, so incredibly beautiful. I also have Labyrinth Lost by Zoraida Cordova. This one is also Own Voices as well. The main character, Alex, she is Latina and bisexual. Alex is also a bruja, which is a witch. She's one of the most powerful in her generation, but she hates magic. When she tries to get rid of her powers, it ends up backfiring, and her entire family is sent into Los Lagos, which is kind of like limbo, a world in between. So she embarks on a journey to retrieve and save her family. Being Jazz, My Life as a Transgender Teen by Jazz Jennings. This is also one of the top 10 books listed as being most challenged in the United States in 2015, I believe. When I saw this at the bookstore, I decided to pick up this memoir. In this memoir, Jazz talks about transitioning into the life of a girl after sharing her story on national television. This next one I am really excited to pick up. I'm hoping that I can get to it really soon, but it is Of Fire and Stars by Audrey Colthurst. This is one that Emma from Emma Books told me to pick up. She mentioned it when we were in Books of Wonder, I think, and I was so drawn to it, so I picked it up. Princess Denalia has been betrothed since childhood to a prince in his kingdom. Magic is forbidden, so she's hiding the secret that she has an affinity for fire. But in addition to that, she also starts developing feelings for the prince's sister. This one just sounds so amazing. It's very high on my TBR list, so I'm hoping that I can get to it really soon. If you guys have read it, I hope you enjoyed it. Please tell me that you did, because it sounds really exciting to me. So I also have Everything by Nicola Yoon. When I went to the bookstore, I was looking at this one and The Sun Is Also a Star, and I was like, I can't remember which one I've heard people raving about more than the other one, so I just picked up her first book. So this one is Own Voices in that it's biracial, but since picking this up, I have actually learned that this isn't the greatest representation for disability. Kind of wish that I'd picked up The Sun Is Also a Star. This one is about Carla, who has a disease and essentially allergic to everything. She has to stay inside of her house, and she's been there for 17 years. And one day a family moves into their house next door, and I think she's just kind of like immediately drawn to the teenage guy. I was also sent quite a few books unsolicited by publishers as well. The first one is Love, Lies and Linguini by Hilary Spears. This one I'm not too sure if it's one that I can read. It says The Unforgettable Hester and Harriet are back, so I think that this one follows two characters that are in one of her other books, but I'm not sure if this is more of a companion or if it's a sequel, so I'm not sure if I can read this as a standalone. I can't really find much information answering that, so if any of you know, I would be very curious. So this one was sent to me by Allen and Unwin. Allen and Unwin also sent to me To Capture What We Cannot Keep by Beatrice Collin. The main character of this one has a name very similar to me except for one letter. So instead of being Katrina, C-A-T-R-I-O-N-A, like mine, in this one it's spelt C-A-I-T-R-I-O-N-A. I do think it's pronounced Katrina as well though. There's just one more silent letter to make everyone confused. This one I believe is a romance story set in the late 1800s. Katrina and Emile, who meet on a hot air balloon and fall in love. Allen and Unwin also sent me Cell 7 by Kelly Drury. I think I forgot to include this in a book haul several months ago because it was released in November 2016. This is about a reality TV show, Death is Justice, where the viewers are able to save the innocent and execute the guilty people on the show. For 7 days, the people who have been accused have to wait to hear the verdict on whether they've been deemed guilty or innocent. And for the first time, a teenager is on the show. A TV presenter is killed and Martha was found standing over the body with a gun in her hand. But is she guilty? Allen and Unwin also sent me Scorn by Matthew Paris. So this is the wittiest and wickedest insults in human history. This one sounds like an absolutely hilarious one. And it's actually separated by kind of category. The chapters are humanity, God and religion, nations, race, class and courtesy. So I think it's just a lot of different hilarious scornful insults. Allen and Unwin also sent me The Amateurs by Sarah Shepard. Erin's younger sister disappeared and 4 years later her body was found, but the case hasn't been solved. Then she meets two people who are wanting to help her solve the mystery, Seneca and Maddie, who are amateur crime solvers, but they have their own personal reasons for wanting to help her out. And then we have this thing here that I was sent, so I thought I'd wait and open it up for you guys on camera. You can tell what it is based on the wrapping paper. It says The Silent Invasion, but still it's exciting. It's a package. So this is The Silent Invasion by James Bradley. This sounds really interesting. So it's set in the future. The human race is dying. Plants, humans, and animals are being infected by spores from space and becoming part of this alien intelligence, which sounds really interesting. The main character, Callie, learns that her younger sister has been infected, so she flees with her sister to the zone in order to avoid termination from the quarantine. The last book that I have to show you guys isn't the most interesting. This semester I'm doing an English class on modernism, and one of the textbooks is the Norton Anthology, English Literature, the 20th Century and After. It doesn't look that big, but it's got Bible thin paper. So how many pages? Over 3,000 pages in here. Can you believe that? I got it and I was like, oh, okay, this isn't too bad, but no. I'm not actually sure which stories from here I will be reading yet. I don't have any further information about the course. I think I'm done. Pretty sure I've got everything. That wraps up this book haul. It was a long one. I apologize, guys, but if I waited any longer, it would be an even longer book haul. I hope you guys enjoyed it. For those of you that have made it to the end, I'm so proud of you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I guess I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye!